This has been an interesting World Series, to say the least. We'll start with the strike zone and the calls that we saw the other night. And Yan Gomes there with Lance Barksdale, and he stands up. He said, so it's my fault. I'm curious where you fall on moving that automated strike zone. We had CC Sabathia, Mark Teixeira. Where do you fall on moving the automated strike zone forward?
Well, we are experimenting aggressively with the automated strike zone. We used it in the Atlantic League this year. Nice partnership with that group. We used it in the Arizona Fall League, where some of our best prospects play this fall. We're going to use it in minor league baseball next year. We want to make sure it's as good as it can possibly be. But I do think it's where the game's headed over the long haul.
Is it headed there next year? Like, what are the limitations in it that you guys aren't ready to put it forward?
Well, one of the big limitations right now is we are doing a technology overhaul that we think between this year and next year will materially improve the system. So we're at least a year away.
And that's your own group, right? That's
right.
That's
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's baseball technology.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So we're a year away on that. We've seen, and I'm trying to get the distinction in your mind between pace of play and length of game. These games, regular season, were a little longer, and we've had 2 4-hour games. How do you distinguish pace of play, length of game?
Yeah, I mean, length is just a time issue. Action in the game is the pace issue. Does it move along? If you have a lot of runs, you're going to have a longer game, but you might have plenty of action, and the pace may be pretty good. I think that it's incumbent upon us to focus on both of the issues. We want shorter games. We want to take the dead time out. But I also think that rule changes that promote action in the game. You know, we saw the first game here, a stolen base by each team in the first inning.
Right.
That's a great thing. That's action, and that's good for baseball.
All right, what are the rule changes that we might see next year?
Yeah, well, next year we know we're going to have 2. We know that we're going to change our rosters. So instead of having 25 all season long and 40 men in September, we're going to have 26 all year long and 28 in September. What's the reason for that? Our slowest, longest games are in September because of the availability of the extra pitchers. Second thing is we have the right to go to a 3-batter minimum for relief pitchers. Fan research shows one of the most unpopular things is mid-inning pitching changes. It would get rid of those changes. We have the right to do that. We've negotiated that right with the Players Association. I expect the owners will ratify that change in November.
Beyond the mid-inning pitching changes, the idea that you have, and I know this drives baseball fans crazy, hockey players change on the fly. Why do you need managers to go out, grab the ball? Are there things that go along with mid-inning pitching changes?
Yeah, next year's a bargaining year for us. Our agreement expires in 21. Our goal is to reach an overall agreement with the union, but to have a comprehensive set of changes that could be rolled in over a period of time that would address both the length and pace issues that you're talking about.
Okay. Obviously, what overshadowed, unfortunately, Game 1 of the World Series were the issues that the Astros had. We've seen Brandon Taubman, the assistant GM, get fired. We saw an apology letter from the owner. We saw the apology to the reporter. As this played out, what was your reaction to it?
It was an unfortunate distraction from the World Series just in terms of timing. But I think overall, 2 things are important to emphasize. We investigated, we got the facts gathered really quickly, and then once the Astros knew what actually happened, I think they acted decisively and appropriately to deal with the situation.
Has the investigation concluded? Is there any other punishment perhaps pending or coming?
There will be additional conversations with the Astros going forward about maybe longer-term issues that they should be thinking about.
We've talked about this. This is a regional game in a lot of ways. The ratings for this World Series currently, and again, that changes in a game 6 and 7, they tend to go up. But right now, they're on pace to be the worst ever. What level of concern do you have about that? What do you do to change it?
Well, look, obviously we worry about our ratings. A lot of the ratings issue is systemic in terms of just less people with more alternatives out there watching different things. You know, we compete against football a number of the nights that we are playing games. But I think the trick for us is to make our entertainment product as compelling as possible, to develop storylines to keep fans engaged. And, you know, you just have to go out there and compete.
Right. Is this like the iceberg slowly melting because attendance comes down a little bit? Like, is there a constant erosion, or are you in a place to grow the game, and how do you do that?
Oh, I think we're in a place to grow the game. I mean, remember, we drew almost 69 million people this year. at the major league level, another 41 million people live in minor league baseball. I'll take those numbers against any sport. I think the trick in the future, and you've heard me talk about it before, is to continue to encourage kids to play the game. And that's how you make fans.
Is that working?
And
are you seeing that?
our participation numbers are up 21% in the last 5 years. We're the fastest growing sport in the United States. The next fastest growing sport grew, I think, at 4% over that same period.
Right. What have you done, in your opinion, to guarantee the consistency of the baseball? Because there's so much talk about drag coefficient, same batch, different batch.
Well, let me say two things about that. We have our scientists are back at work on the baseball. We expect we'll have a comprehensive report at the end of the season. We'll know, I think, as much as you possibly can know about what's going on with the ball. I think it's important to bear two things in mind. Number one, it is, and as long as I'm commissioner, always will be, a handmade product from natural materials. Once you accept those facts, you're going to have a certain variation in the performance of the ball. Remember, the drag changes that they're talking about are so small that you can only measure them with a laser. You cannot measure them with the naked eye. So, you know, you're going to have to accept some variation. I do think it would be a good thing if we could get to the point that we could have a little more predictability and consistency in terms of performance of the ball.
Would you say you were concerned with the number of home runs, and since it's handmade, to change the way it's made?
No, I really am not concerned with the number of home runs. I think the number of home runs, the baseball was part of it. I'm not going to debate that. But I think there are other things that work. It's analytics. It's the way we're teaching the game to young people. The way the game's being played, it's just different.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.